Happy time zone, everyone, and welcome to the Midday Marches here on YouTube.com. I am writer Greg, and I am here working on my creative goals 10 and 25 minutes at a time. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to, getting a lot of things done today. And let's get the timer started. There we go. We have about 4 minutes before our first marches start. At the 5 minutes after the top of the hour, you can choose to either do a sprint or you can do a march, depending on which you prefer. Let's see. We're working on new goals to reach the next level. That might sound cryptic, but I'm okay with that. Usually in the mornings I start off with a thought of the stream. Not doing that here because we could go into this viewer rewards, look at the channel points and see what we can do with something with that, because I do have it limited to bouncing the keyboard back and forth between the computers, so I hope you don't mind. Time between redemptions, 1 hour. 2 per stream, 1 per person. We'll save that. We'll save that one as well. We'll go back to the stream manager. And we will, we need to grow your community, manage. Nope. Monetize, nope. Manage, nope. Channel points reward queue, that's what I want. Yeah, we can do that. Just getting everything laid out.
All right, everyone, it's time to get to work.
Yes, sir, it is time to get to work, so we're going to turn the music up after I switch the keyboards back. We'll turn the music up, microphone off. I'll see you at the finish line. It's so great to have everybody joining me over on the raid over on Twitch. Thank you so much for being here and participating. What a wonderful raid it was. Thank you so much to Kavanaugh Rights for the raid. Wow. All these. This is amazing how wonderful this is. Oh, where am I? Let's get some Twitch chat on this computer so I can type in both places. Holy cow, there's 46 people on my Twitch stream right now. This is so much to have everyone here and participating. I do hope that y'all come over to the YouTube channel where I am live right now. And thank you so much from Mallory. Thank you so much from jumping over for Twitch. I really appreciate it. This is such an exciting thing to have everyone here. I do stream live in the morning on Twitch, and I stream live in the middle of the day here on youtube.com. So as you can see, there's a lot of things going on right now. So thank you. We do have some automated sprint timers right above me, and if you want to do a sprint, which is a 10-minute countdown, you can follow this one right here. We also have the marches. If you want to come over here to the, excuse me, if you want to come over to here and do a march, which is a 25-minute sprint, and I'm working on some great goals that I have. So thank you so much, Mallory, for Regina, for Arthur J.C. Carpenter, for coming on over. And joining me on twitch.tv. So this is just so wonderful to have all of you here. This is the most people that I've had at the same time over here on YouTube. I just started this week. This is so wonderful, and I'm just gonna come back down here and says just welcome everyone. Oh, Agatha. Okay, you have redeemed a fiction critique. Wonderful. So at the end of the sprint, we will get into that fiction critique. So this may seem a little bit weird for those who are new, but I work on twitch.tv in the mornings. I work on YouTube, but I'm using the chat and the Twitch functionality for the redemptions over there. I'm trying to build more over here on YouTube. So if you would like to be a part of the redemptions, the article critiques, you can earn those. Yes, thank you, Lydia. This is custom. I developed this myself. Here's my Python code that is running right now. I developed it myself and have it streaming into my OBS on my Windows computer. And so, can I give you another 2,000 points for the other half of the story? Since you came over to YouTube, just send me the second link in the Twitch chat. I will do both of them because I am just so excited for everyone who's been coming over today and making the transition from jumping from Twitch over to YouTube. I'll do both of them. So why don't you send me both of the links and we'll get to it. It's the same link. Thank you so much for all of the Kavanaughs joining them over me. It's just over the word limit. Okay. What is our what is our limit? What is our, how many words do we have? Oh, this is fine. 3,000 words? Yeah, no worries. Anyone want to make a forest? Harley Andrada over on Twitch asks that. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. I do have the forest timer on the stay focused, be present. I do have that, but I'll not jump in that right now. But if that's what you mean, sure, I'd love to learn more about that. All right, so, and one fun thing you'll also, with my custom timers that I have here, I also have some custom messages that will let you know what's going on in the automated timers.
Sprinters take 5. Marchers only 15 more.
So that tells you that the sprint timer is done. Now you can rest for 5 minutes during your sprint while the marchers who are going for the full 25 can keep on riding. So here we have the custom timers for you if you are interested in 10 or 25 minutes. And for those of you who are curious, I am here every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific to 4 p.m. Pacific, as it says on the YouTube, on the Twitch frozen screen. All right, so, well, Agassi, I'm glad that you were willing to submit it, and you're here. This is awesome. So let's get into this as we begin. Let me know in the chat what kind of feedback you're looking for. Arthur J.C. Carpenter, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I have high hopes and high dreams for this channel to help the writing community as much as I can, so thank you so much for subscribing. Nuriel had thought he was used to isolation. Ignis had often set him to driving the wild beasts of the desert into the parties of pilgrims as a way of testing their dedication. It could have been a lonely task, separated from the other celestials, as well as the people of Somatio. But the knowledge that he served Ignis filled Nuriel with purpose, until the gods left Sumatio. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Certainly the gods had been absent before. The celestials had been formed to oversee the universe while the gods were away. At first the tasks were simple, and the celestials few and mindless. Monitoring orbits and flagging gravitational interactions had not required thought, so Muriel's memories of that time were untainted by it. As the universe grew in complexity, and especially the fifth planet orbiting the otherwise undistinguished yellow star where the gods had lavished special attention, celestials too had grown in complexity to serve the gods' needs. It's a 31D31 Oh, 1 days, 30 drafts. So many general impressions rather than final polish, if you please. Pronunciation is fine. Just pick one and stick with it. All right, I will do my best with that. I am a fan of one idea per sentence, and I do like the slightly shorter sentences that allow for the grammar to be easier to pick through. Let me turn the gain down a little bit here. I seem to be spiking a bit, so hopefully that doesn't cause too many problems. All right. So here we have, as the universe grew in complexity. Because here we're talking about its complexity and its the fifth planet, but then we're getting into the lavish attention of the planet. Celestials too had grown in complexity, so you're putting multiple ideas in the same sentence, and I prefer, my personal style is to one idea, one sentence, or at least put a semicolon in there to separate the ideas a little bit more, and so that's just one of my gigs. Okay. Ignis and Terra had resculpted the planet from surface to core, and Air and Aqua had worked to bring forth life. Nuriel had been the one who had flagged for Aqua the tipping of gas balances when her cyanobacteria poisoned the atmosphere with oxygen. He had been too slow, perhaps, and the world changed beyond recall before the goddess responded. Aqua had said it was not his fault, and in truth,
Sprinters, on your mark. Get set. Go.
And there we go. All right, 10 more minutes for sprinters. Again, Aqua had said it was not his fault, and in truth, he had been unable to feel the urgency of the situation before she had changed the way Celestial's mind worked once again. Again, she had spawned more Celestials and given them more latitude for judgment along with the ability to feel urgency and regret. Nuriel might not have felt urgency when cyanobacteria were spewing their waste products into the air, but his expanded awareness allowed Nuriel to feel shame at his failure. He had fled before Aqua's compassion and forgiveness to serve the harsh indifference of Ignis, and he had found a place there. If Ignis regretted the dispassion of methane, ammonia, and neon from the atmosphere, he made up for it with sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and hydrogen halidase that spewed from his beloved volcanoes. You know, my brother is the chemistry teacher, not me. I'm just saying. Okay, okay. So first page impressions. I really like what's going here. It sounds like this is a creation myth or a variation of a creation myth. Oh, you didn't make any mistakes. This is all me and my pronunciations. So we have some good stuff going on here. The question is, though, this is all telling. We haven't had dialogue. We haven't had anything really showing what's happening, but we've had some wonderful descriptions and wonderful interaction between the characters that you have been introducing here. So it'll be interesting on where you want to take this story, if you want to take it anywhere, because is it going to be a third-person omniscient point of view for the life cycle of this story, or are you wanting to make it more into something more? Because so far we're having the narrator say everything, but it's a really interesting look to see how, if gods got together, that this is a challenge in short stories to get you caught up to the starting point. Okay. All right. When the gods formed their temples, Ignis had chosen a site in the heart of the Crucible Desert. When his initial attempts to set giant beasts and fire-breathing dragons around his great temple had failed, for lack of fodder, Ignis had given smaller beasts into Nuriel's care. The cobras, scorpions, vipers, and even ants Nuriel oversaw were all the more deadly for their small size. While travelers might erect barriers and fend off the larger leopards, desert lynx, and striped hyenas, the snakes and arthropods could penetrate small gaps with ease. Nuriel had tended them all, overseeing the harsh processes of selection that created each generation more deadly than the last. Nuriel had never regretted the pain or death of the beasts, no more than he did that of the people on whom he set them. His purpose was to serve the gods, and he was suffused by the richness of knowing he performed his task well. The emptiness with the gods' departure was crushing. Nuriel learned later that Ignis had granted destruction to some of his celestials, those who went to him and begged for release rather than an eternity without him. Perhaps Nuriel would have chosen that path if it had been offered to him, but the god he served had not taken the time to inform Nuriel of the end. At first Nuriel dismissed the haunting emptiness within him as nothing. A change in the weather, some minor adjustments the gods had made to the universe, or perhaps there were some mutation in the venomous beast that he had seen but not yet recognized. It wasn't until he was found by a new-spawned celestial that Nuriel learned the truth. The nameless celestial begged him to tell it where it could find the gods. It knew that it had been created to serve the gods and to connect them to people and people to gods. It knew nothing more, but the insatiable need to find the gods and be given its purpose. Nuriel gave the new-spawned celestial directions to the Temple of Ignis and turned back to his beasts. Perhaps this generation of black cobras was paler than the last, a dark olive brown rather than a true black. Could that be what was causing his unease? The nameless celestial came wailing back across the black sands, his voice echoing pain beyond anything Nuriel had heard from man or beast. "The temple," the celestial moaned with the strength of a scouring wind in the storm of the desert, "was gone." And that's a pretty long, the temple was gone. I love the description here that you have for it, but you're splitting here the punchline. If a sentence has a punchline, it feels kind of split here. Like the celestial moaned with the strength of a scouring wind, storm in the desert. The temple was gone. So because that way you're building up the tension, you're building up to a cliffhanger, and then the temple was gone. As opposed to the temple, and whole bunch of description, was gone. Wait, what was gone? Oh, the temple was gone. Okay, just a little bit there. Of course, everything here you can take with a grain of salt, but I'm really digging the text so far. Yeah, make it a direct quotation. Moaned with "the temple is gone." Well, yeah, and that's what you need to know. I want to know more about the story. Are you going to make it more with more dialogue as opposed to just the straight narration? If this is a first draft, you have one wonderful first draft, I gotta say. But yeah. Okay, in its place was only a pillar of flame. There was no sign of life save for the lines of ruined travelers' settlers stretching across the desert to more hospitable climes. Nuriel left his animals then, and returned with the nameless celestial to where the great temple of Ignis should have stood. There was nothing but fire, burning hotter than the core of the sun. Nuriel cried out in a tone that pulled taut the connection between celestials, pain and despair that matched that of the nameless celestial who had found him. The nameless celestial quivered, transfixed by the purity of Nuriel's call. But soon Malek and Jehol flanked it. The steady energy of their presence anchored the nameless one, drawing it as well as Nuriel into communion. Truth suffused the connection between them, but no comfort with it. Malek and Jehoiel had been in the presence chamber when Ignis had manifested for the last time. They had aided him, though he seemed unwell and half mad at first. As he sobered, they had learned that the gods were pleased with Somatio, but that it had served its purpose for them. Ignis had meant to destroy the planets on which the gods had spent so much care. His love of fire would see him stoke the sun until it consumed the solar system, then collide the stars one with another. There had been mortals within the great temple at the time, however. Even Nuriel was aware of the sanctuary rule of the temples that guaranteed the physical safety of mortals within. Between them, Jehoiel and Malek had swayed the god. The gods would still be leaving Somatio, but Ignis was willing
Sprinters and marchers, time is up.
Okay, so that's the end of the first march and the second sprint. So those who are marching, take a 5-minute break, and we'll get going at 35 after the hour. He had declared their... Okay, but the gods would still be leaving Somatio, but Ignis was willing to leave it in the hands of the peoples they had created. He had declared their freedom before departing for the final time. Thus there were no gods for the nameless celestial to find. There would never again be a call for Nuriel to drive desert beasts against pilgrims seeking the safety of the great temple, nor those attempting to carry their prize back to mortal cities. There was no more need to select the deadliest creatures for those missions, or monitor the bloodlines that none be completely extinguished should the mortals they challenged win. Nuriel's task was without meaning. His service was to a being who had neither desired nor received it. The new spawned celestial wailed and threw itself into the heart of the flame where the great temple had stood. Jehoiel and Malek remained in communion with Nuriel for some time, sharing with him the names of those Ignis had granted dissolution. The new spawned celestial who had thrown itself into the flame was not one of those who had been destroyed, but its existence was a function of their destruction. The number of celestials had been fixed and could not decrease, not with mere destruction of an individual. Many of the details Jehoiel and Malek shared entered Nuriel's memory without his conscious engagement. Ignis's declaration that the peoples of Somatio were free, the determination of those who had served him to defend their freedom, and the opposition of other celestials who would keep mortal peoples like pets. None of it mattered to Nuriel in the depths of his pain. Finally, Malek and Jehoiel left him, and Nuriel sat alone outside the flame that marked the temple site. Okay, scene break. It was 4 days before the nameless celestial emerged from the flame, broken by despair. Just as divine was created the celestials and set their numbers, so too would it take the strength of the gods to destroy them. Nuriel named the new celestial Perdidum for their shared pain. He did not return to the beasts of the desert, who had never needed him to nurture them and no longer required his goading. Instead, the two celestials flowed through the desert and explored mortal lands, as had others before them. Ignis had commanded those who had petitioned him in the last days. The time of okay, all right. So here we have the time of gods is concluded. We leave the universe in your hands. Jehoiel had spoken of aiding mortals whose options were constrained by harsh circumstance. Malach had talked of challenging those who were strong to become stronger still, or to break under the challenge. Whatever path might lie ahead, it was surely among those in whose hands the fate of the world rested. Nuriel found the cities of Samashus crowded with life, very unlike the waste to which he was accustomed. At first, the hustle and bustle became a welcome distraction. Perdidum was dazzled by the variety of peoples, the chaos of speech and trading and motivations. In a few places, they found humans preaching that the gods were not truly gone, that it was a test of faith. Sometimes there were those who argued that the gods had not been created by people. I'm sorry. Sometimes there were those who argued that the gods had been created by people and not the people by gods. So the people should come together and create new gods. Once or twice, foolish mortals attempted to elevate the celestials themselves to gods. In each case, they refuted the claims. Very few of the...
Stop talking, Greg. It's time to write.
No, I'm still going to talk. I have it on a random... I have a whole bunch of clips that randomly pick what text to use to tell me to get back to writing. So... Very few of the refutations involved the viper or scorpion in the leader's bed. Wow, okay. They refuted the claims. Very few of the refutations involved viper or scorpion in the leader's bed. Okay, that sentence just kind of jumped out at me. Maybe it was the timer, maybe it was the breaking the concentration or the flow. Yeah, that was interesting. Thank you. The last command of the gods had been for mortals to accept responsibility for themselves, allowing the people of Samashio to hide behind the skirts of a divine protector who was no longer there would indulge folly and weaken those Ignis had sought to empower. Still, the weakness of the people pained Nuriel. He had not realized how few attempted a pilgrimage to the great temple, though it made sense now. Even the slightest barrier would drive most of them to an easier path, heedless of the long-term consequences. That Ignis had left the universe in such feeble hands both worried and disgusted Nuriel. The call that came was both like and unlike that Nuriel had issued in his pain. It was an impossibly clear tone that pulled taut the connection between celestials and beyond. Before thought, before reason, before understanding, Nuriel found himself hanging between planet and moon, the goddess Terra before him. The goddess! His heart soared once more, and more of the celestials of Samashio winked into existence beside him. Terra had returned and called them. If she was one he had never before served directly, it did not matter. One of the gods had need of them. Nuriel's need, his only need, was to fulfill it, whatever it should be. Terra showed what was required, and Nuriel understood why she had called them all to herself. Throughout the sky, from the asteroid belt beyond the 9th planet to the low orbit of Samashio itself, bits of rock and ice hurtled towards the only inhabited planet in the universe. There was no time for thought, no time for reflection. that perhaps Malak and Jehoiel had not been as persuasive as they thought. Those ideas would come later, in the aftermath. In the moment, with Samashio the target of thousands of thrown stones, Nuriel accepted Terra's direction without hesitation. He interposed himself between asteroids and the people of Samashio, spending the energy that was his essence with a joy he had despaired of ever feeling again. Around him, other celestials did the same. He saw Perdidum cast its strength against a large chunk of iron ore, obedient to Terra's instruction to divert it with just half a degree. The moment of inertia warred against the essence of the young celestial, but Terra had somewhere else for Nuriel to be. When Nuriel felt again for his companion, no trace of Perdidum remained. Nuriel mourned the loss, even as he rejoiced that his friend had finally known the glory of bending to the wishes of the gods. He threw himself against the next target, all his essence available to the goddess to spend just as she had spent Perdidum. To meet destruction in service was the greatest honor Nuriel could imagine. It was not the service asked of him, nor the honor granted. Nuriel was one of several celestials fighting with the atmosphere of Samashio itself to divert one rocky fragment. It was barely a click long, but the inertia of a long trip was behind it. With 3 others, then 7 others, he fought to move it away from the mountains at the end of its trajectory. If they could force it to land in the sea instead, Terra would be pleased. That was the service she had asked of them, but she forbade them to destroy themselves to achieve it. The atmosphere of Samashio was a fragile thing, as the cyanobacteria has shown. In space, a celestial might destroy itself to shift an asteroid, and the near vacuum would be unaffected. That concentrated a release of power in the atmosphere might do more damage than a direct hit from the asteroid. 54 clicks from the ground, a dense rock began to break up, but there was no more celestials to assign. Most were still needed in the space between planets, preventing more asteroids from hitting the atmosphere. The small team with which Nuriel worked darted between pieces, trying to herd them north to fall into the softening embrace of the water. They almost succeeded. Air forced out of the way by the entering mass destroyed the homes between mountains and sea even before the fireball hit. It blazed only briefly, 12 clicks across and brighter than the sun, less than 3 minutes, but it was enough to spread the flames over the land. The mountains shook, and the sea boiled where fragments had fallen into it. Almost 10 clicks wide and more than 3 deep, the asteroid gouged a crater from the planet. 2 minutes later, the ejecta from that crater began to fall, raining more destruction on the remains of the land. All around Nuriel, celestials wept. He reached out to commune with them, sharing the pain of having failed the goddess. But their pain was not as his. The others were moved to pity for the lives destroyed, awareness of the humans and elves who had lived in the former verdant strip north of the Niger Mountains. Niger Mountains. There had been a fishing village, where there was now the outer edge of a crater, and the edges were still falling into it. The other celestials wept for the peoples, and they wept together. Nuriel wept for his failure, and he wept alone. Celestial? The voice was sharp and clear, and demanded response. Nuriel looked into the face of Terra. How are you called? I am Nuriel, lady. She nodded. Can you work, Nuriel? Just give me a task. The goddess smiled on him. So eager. My existence is for service, lady. Nothing else matters. Tara nodded. This should not have happened. This cannot happen again. You will watch the skies for threats and divert them as you can. Yes, lady. Call on the other celestials for aid, if you must, but understand that you are alone. She looked stern. No more can we meddle in the mechanisms of Samatio. The time of gods is past, and none must believe otherwise. I understand, lady. What do you understand? Nuriel repeated her instructions back, and she smiled on him. I commend you to your task, Celestial Nuriel. Protect this planet for my sake, as well as its own. Nuriel had long been used to isolation. The stars shone beyond a fragile gathering of planets, unfeeling and remote. But Nuriel maintained his watch. It could have been a lonely task, separated from other celestials as well as the people of Samatio, but the knowledge that even his unattended labors served the gods filled Nuriel with purpose. Generations passed on the planet below him, people and animals tracing their own paths. Throughout it all, Nuriel watched. He watches still, suffused by the richness of knowing he performs his task well. If in fact celestials can be said to live, then Nuriel lives on, and will live on, happily ever after. Woohoo! Happily ever after, Nuriel. All right, wow. I hope my reading did it justice. That was a
Sprinters
fun.
take 5. Marchers only 15 more.
I hope that you enjoyed that. Yeah, that was fun. So let's talk about this. Good story, great world building. I really felt for Nuriel as a character, his dispassion. I'm curious to know what if you wanted to have Nuriel arc in any way. Granted, I only read this through once, and I was trying to read it at the same time. I mean, because reading and understanding don't always happen at the same time. But it would it was good. Nuriel had been in. Okay, I'm just trying to understand what his arc is, if you have an arc, because there are some characters that never arc. You know, your Dick Tracy's, your stoic hero that is the same very episodically, and it's the people around that character that arc to make a story interesting. Nuriel here seems to have, if I was to assign him an arc, it went from being alone, naively alone, to being intentionally alone, then receiving a purpose, and then at the end has accepted his loneliness. So if I was to put something, I think Nuriel is less of an arc and more of a circle. Okay, from equilibrium through disequilibrium and back to the same equilibrium of service. Okay, yes, that is that's really cool. I like that. Because yeah, it's like, well, there's the circle of the hero's journey where they start, they go through to the other world, and they learn something in the other world, then come back and they have that elixir of life, or that boon that they had captured from the other world. And so Nuriel also has that, starting in a good place with the gods, goes through the other world, suffers, has the problems, and then comes back with the boon of that, and then received the blessing of Tara. Well described, a very interesting world. We glimpse Jehoiel and Malik finding purpose in the new world, but Nuriel was just wandering. Yeah. hmm Um, I did enjoy the small scene here at the bottom of page. This one. Where's the page numbers? I did like that, where we had a little bit of a break and we could have that interaction. But I wonder if it was too much of a shock. Right. It is. You're. Thank you. It's very much a told story than a lived story. I could totally feel this vibe of this being around a campfire, of an ancient shaman or ancient wise person of a tribe is sitting there and telling this story as a fable or as a parable of a lesson learned to future generations. I could really dig into that vibe, and then this paragraph. I'm sorry, this scene that you have here would then kind of stand out because a person who is recounting an oral history to past traditions from one storyteller to a next storyteller, that would be very. This kind of stands out. They wouldn't have dialogue, but I think it was really well done. Yeah.
Time for the sprinters to get back to work.
Satrium, welcome. I'm doing well, thanks. We have the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat going back both at the same time, so it's wonderful to have people here. Yeah, good stuff. Do you have any more questions? Not bad for one day. I wish I could produce this in one day. Holy cow, 3,000 words like this. Uh, well done. Well done indeed. All right. All right, so we started a sprint that will go until the top of the hour, about 9 minutes left. So let's jump into another set of sprints, another sprint to finish out the hour. So let's turn up the music. Wait, turn on the music. All right. Let's turn up the okay, the music's on. I'm going to turn off the microphone. So now is a great opportunity. At the end of the timer, come back and let me know what you have written, how many words that you've produced, or what you've accomplished during this sprint. All right. So I'll see you at the finish line.
Sprinters and marchers, time is up.
All right, so there we are at the top of the hour. It's noon here in the Mountain West. Hopefully it's some time during your time zone, wherever it may be. Welcome everyone who may be joining us for their lunch hours and want to be really productive and get some good work done towards your creative goals. We'll take a 5-minute break. So please let me know in the chat below, either on Twitch or on YouTube, what did you accomplish so far in your writing endeavors today? We already had Agassi. I'm terrible at pronunciations. We reviewed one of their stories. So, were you in a sprint? I have been working on creating goals here of things that I want to accomplish. I have a board above my desk where I paste these little pictures as a reminder of what I want to accomplish. And so that is what I'm working on. How about yourselves? Anyone? Bueller. I think I'm funny. My kids think I'm funny. I updated my book stack image for the overlay on today's 31 day 31 stories stream, though I'm late starting the actual stream. Cool. When's your stream happen? In theory, right now. All right, have a great stream. But I find it funny that there are 11 people watching the unmoving screen over on YouTube, where there's only a couple of us watching this stream over here on YouTube. I just find that hilarious. In reality, I'll be 15 minutes late. No worries. Let's get my pen out of the way. Move it up there. No, I want to move it out of the way. There. I'm watching both. Maybe. Couldn't find the live chat on YouTube. Yeah, I'm getting that. It's kind of hard to find. And I appreciate you picking whichever you wish to do.
All right, everyone, it's time to get to work.
Okay. Better do what he says. I'm going to turn up the music, turning off the microphone, and I'll see you at the finish line.
Sprinters break, marchers continue.
All right, hope the sprinters had a good sprint and the marchers are still going strong. If you'd like, you can report on what you accomplished in either the YouTube or the Twitch chat. Personally, I was able to complete those goal signs, printed them out, and I'll be hanging those up after the stream. In the meantime, I will be working on a short story. I've been working on this for, unfortunately, much too long. Went with my writing group last night, and they provided a whole bunch of feedback. I thought I was done with this story, but ooh. So that's what I'm working on now. So I'll just go ahead and mute, and I'll see y'all at the end of the march.
Only 10 minutes left, everyone. Let's squeeze out the words.
Sprinters and marchers, time is up.
All right, there we go to the end of our... Okay, the microphone is working. All right, there we are at the end of that march. Hoping everyone is working well. I was able to finish my short story chapters are very short sometimes. Able to get through those edits. Didn't really accept all of them, and I'm okay with that. But that is the author's privilege. I do have the Grammarly Pro plugin here with my Google Docs to help me make sure things are okay.
Stop talking, Greg. It's time to write.
Yeah, I wasn't talking. Maybe I need to change that one. I thought it was funny when I made it. All right, music up. Microphone's off. See you at the finish line.
Great job, sprinters. It's time to rest.
Marchers keep going.
Sprinters, on your mark. Get set. Go.
Sprinters and marchers, time is up.
All right, there we go. That is the top of the hour. And we begin the Pacific lunch hour now. Hoping everyone who had a good lunch hour here in the Mountain West. And now we'll get ready for the Pacific lunch hour, so that those of you who may be on your lunch break can squeeze in some sprints and get some work done. I'd like to welcome Sable Aradia and James from the Anvilite Streamer Corps. Welcome, and glad you came on over to the Midday Marches. Yeah, I thought the lobby over there would be a good idea for a while. It was great. We had a person raid the lobby, and quite a few came over here. Wonderful. I will be here. My goal is to I would love to be able to have enough subscribers to be able to get a named channel over here on YouTube, so that I can have a named channel. Well, James, I'm glad that you and the Wizard Satrium enjoy being here, but you know what? I would really like to have a lot more people. Yeah, please like and subscribe. I don't know. I don't know how many people have followed today. We had quite a few. Wow, we got up to 39. Wonderful. Yep, click that bell icon and you will receive notifications. Did you see my article review, or are you not doing that for Midday Marches? Oh. It might have gotten covered. Where is it? I'm sorry, Satrium. You're right. I did not see that. Too many things. Trying to do too many things at the same time. So let's do that now. We'll do that for the next sprint. But yes, to answer the question, Satrium, yes, it is my intent, as I described over on the lobby channel, Twitch, that yes, I will do sprints. I mean, yes, I will do article critiques. Yes, I will do sprint takeovers, honoring the redemptions that we have. And so, yes,
All right everyone, it's time to get to work.
That indeed it is. So let's turn off the music and let's take a look at this. Ooh. Okay, it looks like we got some fiction going here. Yeah, I need to. Today's the first day I've had Twitch and YouTube running at the same time. The Twitch stream is actually running off my Linux computer, which usually never streams. And then now it anyway, it's all good. Glad that you reminded me on this. So Lord of the Sea, let's take a look. Let's zoom in a bit. Yeah, down to one column. All right. Yeah, I tried to write some fiction for this article. I'm usually not doing that, so any feedback is appreciated. All right, I will definitely do that. Edward once again went down the long steps to the prison cells of the garrison. He has spent a lot of time here over the last couple of months. Way too much time, honestly. He had. That needs to be a had. As a past participle. So he. Oh, this is annoying. It's on the wrong screen. Monitor 2. There we go. So he had spent a lot of time here over the last couple of months. Way too much time, honestly. But times had become. Okay, so well, unless you're using present tense, but times have become desperate. Okay, so they have because they continue to be desperate, and he has seen many pirates, but he had spent a lot of time in the prison because that is in the last couple of months where the times currently are desperate, so they continue to, but times have become desperate. Sure, he has seen many pirate attacks in his time as admiral, but recently something changed. It's no longer just a few ships being attacked from time to time, but huge trading vessels being robbed regularly. The trading guilds had to hire mercenaries to protect their ships, and prices within the city have skyrocketed. Okay, yeah, so we're doing good with that. This has to stop. This has to be stopped. And eventually, someone had to talk, he thought. Hopefully this time will be more successful than the last one. Taking a deep breath, he opened the cell door, stepped in, and looked at the prisoner. A young human man who probably has not even made his 15th birthday. He was just a few years older than his own little son. Why does someone at this young age get wrapped up in all this? He hated it. But he had to get started with the interrogation. So, we have taken you prisoner on the Vigilant while you and your friends were attacking the vessel. You are charged with murder, piracy, robbery, theft. I could go on for a while. Anything you have to say in your defense? The boy didn't even bother to look up. No reaction and no answer. Let's talk honestly here. If you are lucky, you will spend the rest of your life in a dark prison cell. You'll never see the light of day again. Worst case, they'll throw you into a cell close to the sea and wait till the high tide comes and you drown. So please, don't throw your life away. I can help you. The young boy looked up for the first time since Edward had entered the room. It's too late for that. My fate is sealed, the boy said. You have a choice here, Edward answered. If you tell me where we can find how do you call them? The Lord of the Sea, yes? If you tell me where you can find them, I will make sure you walk out of this alive. I can't. You are really wasting your time here, old man, the boy replied. Death is better than what waits for me when I leave this room alive, and even if I wanted to, I couldn't anyway. Sure you could. You always have a choice. Just let me help you. I will provide you with a way out of here. Safe passage. That needs to be safe. Safe passage on one of the merchant caravans, right up to Azolios, far enough away so nobody will ever find you. Just tell me who they are. I can't, the boy said, looking down at the table once again. Tell me, don't throw your life away. I cannot tell you. Even if you could protect me, it doesn't matter. It's too late. I made a big mistake, and now I have to pay for it. The voice of the young boy had become shaky, and Edward could swear he saw tears running down his cheeks. Edward sat down and looked at the boy. He still reminded him of his own son. Please, trust me. We can get through this together. I will make sure nothing happens to you. Just tell me what I need to know. The boy once again looked at Edward with tears in his young eyes. I honestly wish I could, but I can't. Please just stop asking, or he will kill me. I don't want to die. Looking him deep in his eyes, Edward replied, Look at me. Whoever it is won't be able to hurt you. Just tell me. Suddenly, the expression of the boy changed from fear to terror. And he screamed, Please, no, don't do this to me. I didn't tell them anything. No, I won't breathe. Please. And with a last, no, his eyes filled with blood, and the boy fell over, his head hitting the table. Wait, no, Edward yelled, trying to catch the motionless body. What just happened? Did he just die? This can't be. What are we dealing with here? Sometime in the year 753 MOR in the garrison of Ocadranos. Nobody knows who the so-called Lord of the Sea is. They united separate pirate factions under one banner, but so far nobody would or could talk about them. A few months ago they appeared, and since then the pirate attacks on trading vessels at the Golden Coast have become worse and worse. The Confederation of the Golden Coast has put out a reward of 5,000 gold for any tips that leads to the capture of this criminal. Okay, good story. Really good story. I like what you have here. You have a good tension. It builds up tension well. It seems like, though, it went a little longer than it needed to. If whomever it was who killed the boy was going to kill the boy, they would have done it earlier, in my opinion. And then your story would be slightly shorter. But let's see, how many times does the boy? Okay, here's one. Here's the second objection. Here's the third objection. Here's the fourth objection. Here's the fifth. Okay, so the boy resisted 5 times before on his sixth time he talked, he was actually killed. So it just seems that maybe the 5 is a little much. And you could shorten the story a little bit if you got it down to maybe 3. But unless you, unless there is a reason to go 5 times, is there something we learn with each of the time that
Great job, sprinters. It's time to rest.
Marchers keep going.
Okay. There needs to be some reason why we go 5 times. And why, if there is something new information every time the boy speaks, or every time that the Admiral Edward cajoles him, then it would be worthwhile. But we need to have something new happen, not just another back and forth. Because the boy knew instantly my fate is sealed, so he knows he's gonna die, and like this right here, these 2 sentences, that could probably be just chopped out once, instantly, because we don't learn anything from this exchange. Don't throw your life away. Well, he could have said that earlier or later. The threat about putting him in the high tide comes down and you drown, worst case, that was a good threat. That was good world building. The fact that they have cells that are under the tide level is absolutely terrifying, that they would need to have something to use so often that they would build it like that. Yeah. Okay, but see here, it's too late. I made a big mistake and now I have to pay for it. This asks a question. This brings up a question into the reader's mind. Ooh, he made a mistake. What was the mistake made? But here, when Edward comes back, he's just saying the same thing again. Hey, tell me who it is. Tell me who it is. But if Edward at this point could say, what mistake? He could go down a new line of questioning, and that would bring more interest to the story. So you already have new information. I made a mistake in the thing. And so now we need to run with that information if you want. Okay, so you have asked a question here, but you haven't attempted to answer it. You don't have to answer it, but at least the attempt could be there. Hopefully that's making sense. Because like here, once again, the boy looked at Edward with tears in his young eyes. Honestly, I wish I could, but and then you just stop right there. We know that he's going to, or I wish I could, but he'll kill me. I don't want to. Then, I don't, and then just said, and he screamed. Mid-sentence, he screamed. Edward doesn't, and then, and then he can die. The eyes filling with blood, good one. That's a good one. The boy fell over, hitting his head, hitting the table. Yeah. Okay, so those are my thoughts. Good fiction, good short story, good tension, good conflict, because you have an antagonist and a protagonist, just the 2 characters, tightening up the action, making it less repetitive, or going down a different path to ask questions and answer them, or attempt to answer it. But yeah, good stuff. All right. All righty. Well, we have a couple of seconds before the next sprint begins. Then we'll be able to finish the sprint and the march.
Sprinters begin now. Marchers keep going.
All right, let's turn back the music back up. Thank you so much, Satrium, for sharing that fiction with us. There we go. And I'll see you at the finish line.
Sprinters and marchers, time is up.
All right, here we are with the end of the sprint and the end of the march. Welcome, Aiden. Glad that you made it over here. James asked a question. You use that glove, which some think looks like you have injured your hand, but do you need one to use a graphic tablet? No. This is the little glove you're referring to. I just put it on, and it covers just these two fingers, and it allows my hand to slide very easily on the graphic surface without smudging it and without my big sticky hands sticking on it. It just allows my hand to move smoothly. Not required, but it's really nice. So yes, not like I said, not required. And yes, Aiden, by having the chat lobby over on Twitch and having this over here on YouTube, the video over on here YouTube, at the same time, I'm not double streaming since it's different content on both platforms, and you can use both chats if I try to remember to watch both chats, and you'll be able to redeem your channel points from Twitch, and then I redeem them over here on YouTube. And so that's a way that all of the great work that everyone has done watching and earning the lemon channel points over Twitch can still be used here. Provides more content here and is a bit more exciting, as James just did with redeeming a save check. I'd save it, but there's no save button on Google Docs. Question: in the coin mystery, my main character father dies while he is out of Burdencaster, so they send a message to the main character, as I think it would be the city hall that would send the message. Sure. Is it official enough for the city hall to write to him to use the lemon-colored paper? Of course. I agree with you. YouTube's word count limit is odd and annoying. Yeah. Yeah, lemon-colored paper. Mwah. Would the topic of my warrant the official paper? Depends. Was it a murder? Or is it just a death certificate? Yeah, because legal documents, I don't know a legal pad of paper, I don't know if I have one here. But yeah, they're yellow. I don't have a legal pad. But yeah, legal pads today are still yellow. But yeah. Okay, so I removed one of the dialogues and added a bit more to the others to make it less repetitive. Awesome. The father died by illness. Okay. So if he died by illness, why would the city hall... Well, you may just have to make up a reason. Is it a standard operating procedure to report the death of citizens of a different city? And so what they're sending is a death certificate from a coroner or the mortician? But the MC doesn't know this. Okay. The MC doesn't know that the father died by illness, is I guess what you're trying to say.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Better start writing anyway.
They both live together. The MC goes on the stories quest and comes back and gets a letter saying, your father is dead. But I really doubt that you would receive a letter saying that a loved one, such as a father, had died without an explanation of the cause of death. Especially if it's a government document, they would want to cover the reasons why. So I find it a stretch. I find that to be a stretch of not being told why the father died. Now, he doesn't have to believe why the father died that way. You know, he says, are you sure he died by death? No, he was murdered. Or, yeah. All right, so let's get into this last march and second to last bit, and we'll get going. Turn up the music. Turning off the mic. See you at the finish line.
Great job, sprinters. It's time to rest.
Marchers keep going.
Sprinters, on your mark. Get set. Go.
Sprinters and marchers, time is up.
All right, it looks like that we have... Oh, Kit. Yeah, I was kind of... I've been a little tired, but of course, for those of you here on YouTube for the first time, you don't know the joy, the sheer pleasure it is to see me slap myself in the face. And with that, we bring this midday march to a close. It's 2 o'clock. Got to get kids home from school and all the regular stuff. So, but thank you so much, everyone who came, and a huge thank you to those who rated earlier the Twitch stream, which allowed so many people to come over here to the YouTube channel, and they followed over there. They came and followed over here, and I got the hiccups now because of the face slapping. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. All right, we are going to raid. We have a raid, a guide the raid request, which we will fill at this time. Oh, that didn't work. Let's make sure they're still, of course, commercial. All right, well, this doesn't stop anything about what's happening here over on YouTube. I will raid using those who are over on Twitch and send you on over to Ange the Sea. I'm terrible. And you can follow over there. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you tomorrow morning on Twitch for Morning Marches Extended Edition at a regular time of 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight, Saturday morning. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.